Welcome to the Born to Be Brave YouTube channel, where we interview awesome women who are being brave. Welcome to the program today, Caytie, and men. We interview men, but Caytie Langford, welcome to the program.
Hey, lady, thanks for having me.
This is going to be awesome. I'm just going to quickly tell people, I don't like to go into a big bio, but like you have a group called Trailblazing for women that are investing in real estate, right?
Yep.
And then
Yes.
you are a capital raiser. You're a public speaker. You're an awesome, badass woman. Anyway, what else do they need to know about you that makes them think, oh, I should pay, like, you guys should pay attention to what she has to say, but what else do they need to know?
I think that if you're a real estate investor and you are building a business and you didn't realize a lot of us get into real estate investing and then are like, build a business. I've been on this journey of building businesses for 10 years. And so I have learned a lot about the mindset and how to coach around what kind of mindset you need. Because I find that sometimes women, we like to beat ourselves up because we're not doing it perfectly. And I've been there. And so that is the frame of reference in which I'm coming into this conversation.
Well, that is so good because one of my friends, Sherry, which is your friend too, she asked, what is the mindset shift most important for women who are building real estate businesses while still working a full-time W-2 job? Like what's the most important mindset shift that they need to make to go from working to doing real estate? Did that make
Yeah.
sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. One of the biggest mindset shifts that I see that I had to make on my own, I had a total W-2 career. I was an executive at several nonprofit organizations. And so I know what it's like to be a leader in an organization and also run a business. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things, Colleen, is that in business, there are no rules. And that can be both amazing and exciting, and it can be totally terrifying because those of us who have kind of grown up and watched our career happen in a W-2, we're used to having a framework, having a boss, having rules, whether they're written rules or unwritten rules. And we're used to having things like job descriptions. We're used to having things like standard operating procedures. And then when we build our own businesses, or even if we buy a business, it takes a while sometimes for us to realize that we are not only playing the game, but we're also writing the rules. And it can be really, really scary for some of us. I know it was for me.
Yeah, and I think that that is a huge difference because when we go to school as kids, they teach you to, sit down, shut up, follow the rules, memorize stuff, regurgitate back what we want to hear, and get in line, raise your hand, follow, don't stand out, all of that, right? And
Yeah,
so then we get a job, right? Because if we're being a good girl, we go to get good grades, go to college, do all the extracurriculars, then we get our degree, then we get our job, and still everyone's telling us basically what to do, right?
right.
And then poof, now you're in uncharted territory, either as an entrepreneur or a business owner. And
Right.
yeah, it's a big shift.
It is a big shift. And so often, I mean, you nailed it. Like you literally just described my entire life. I went to school, got good grades, I got into college, I went to college, I got good grades, I got my first job, I did it really well, I got promoted. That was one of the reasons why at 34 I had been promoted so many times and tapped on the shoulder to be an executive. One of the things that happens when we're writing our own rules is that we forget to ask ourselves, what do we want out of our real estate investing business? Everybody will talk to you about your why. Everybody will talk to you about, you know, figure out why you're in this and what matters to you. And, when you ask people, well, what is it that you want? Well, I want time freedom. I want money. But do you ever really sit down to define what that means for you? And I know a lot of us in this real estate investing world, we got here because there's an educator, a guru that we started following. Maybe we paid for a mentorship. And what I see so often with the women, especially the women in Trailblazers that I coach, is that we rarely stop to align our businesses to who we are and what we actually want. And so even when we, define time freedom, is it really our definition or is it someone else's definition? Like, what does time freedom mean to you? And knowing that, like just that example, time freedom, right? Um, Depending on what season of life you're in, it could mean totally different things. So
Hmm.
most of my peers, most of the women who are my age, they have kids. I don't have a child. I don't have any. And so their time freedom might look like I want to make sure that I am picking my kids up from school and I'm able to go to the things in the middle of the day if they have a program at school. Well, my time freedom looks totally different. Your time freedom, your kids are out of the house, so it might look different. But again, one of the things that happens when we leave a W-2 is do we take do we actually take the time to sit down and say, this is what I want? And then not only let ourselves do that, but then give ourselves permission to build exactly what we want. And I think that as soon as women can the women that at least I've worked with, when we can get over that and when we can realize that the business we want to build is totally out there, and we can have that, then it's easier to, escape that W-2.
Yes, and the ideas, those limiting beliefs that it needs to look a certain way.
Right. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. Like I, for years, I struggled with, oh my gosh, if I'm not working from 8 to 5, sorry, my Microsoft keeps restarting. I hope that's not cutting out. Um, I had to give myself permission that I didn't have to work 8 to 5 every day. And it didn't have to look how it looked when I was working for someone else. But that was so hard because I grew up with parents who had W-2s. My parents, for the most part, are still working. And I thought, well, that's just the way it is, right?
Hmm.
Why?
Yeah, that's
Who
the way it
said?
is.
I mean, last night I was at a dinner until 10 p.m. So this morning I took some time off. Well, when I worked for somebody else, even, I had nightly dinners and events after hours. I still was at the office when I was supposed to be.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, just giving yourself permission to do it differently. And I see that a lot of us want to get into business because we want to do it differently, but then we get so nervous that we can't do it differently because if we do, then we won't be successful or we won't be doing it the right way, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think the question I ask myself, and this is what I've really been honing in on, is what would I love?
Yeah.
And I'm really honing in on what would I love and making sure that the activities I'm doing are bringing me to to answering that question and making sure my lifestyle aligns up with that, if that makes sense.
Colleen, I just have to say, every time we visit, every time we talk, you have these little nuggets that literally changed my life. I I talk about what I love all the time, but I'm not asking myself that question all the time, and I'm going to start doing it. You taught me this idea that miracles are my norm and they happen every day. And it's little things like I'll drive into a parking lot and I'll be like, miracles are my norm and it happens every day. And I'll get a front row Joe spot or I'll get a new client that fits who I am. And I just, oh my God, I love your little nuggets. They're so timely and perfect. And so any woman and man who's watching, who's building something, like be asking yourself, yeah, what do I love? Absolutely. I want to do work that aligns with my greatest gifts and my greatest talents. I don't want to do work that pushes me not out of my comfort zone because I don't mind being out of my comfort zone. But like for example, I'm not mathematically inclined. I am not a linear thinker. I do things really out of the box. So I make sure that I have people on my team who are linear thinkers, who are math proficient. So when we're looking at deals, it's not me looking at them necessarily, it's other people who have that skill set who want to use that. So I'm going to bring that into my life.
Yeah,
What do
start
I,
asking yourself more often.
yeah.
Isn't it fun? And you know what's so funny is I play the ultimate parking space game because I believe in miracles everywhere, you know? And one time my cousins were visiting, I didn't mean to share this, but we'll share it really quick. There's a house in Laguna Beach that's right by there's a like a tower beach, like it's a tower, but you
Huh?
have to walk, but there's only one house. There's no, it's called Victoria Beach. There's no place to park really there, supposedly, you
Yeah.
know? But this one house has got a round driveway in front of an oval. So there's three spots to park right next to the steps. There's only three spots, right? In Laguna Beach. And a lot of times we'll take people down to see, you know, because there's this pool and then there's a tower that's in the ocean that, you know, at low tide, it's beautiful and it goes all the way up in front of somebody else's house. Anyway, so it's a tourist thing, right? People like to go see
Yeah.
it, a hidden gem. And so my cousins were visiting from Utah and I was going to drive them down there to see it. And they were telling me that we weren't going to be, there's not going to be anywhere to park because it's in this residential neighborhood and everything. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to find a spot right up front. It won't be a problem. And so when we got there, the three spots were gone. So they said they would just get out of the car. You know, they had
Huh?
little faith in my abilities. And anyway, so what's so funny is while they were unloading from my car to go see it, the front car pulled out and said, hey, did you want my parking space?
I mean, I love that. The parking spot thing, the reason I do that is because it's just one tiny way. And then when you start seeing it, you're like, oh, these miracles can be bigger and bigger and bigger. I love that. I love that you tell that story, girlfriend.
Yeah, it's a good one. And literally you can manifest any partnership, any building, any vacation, any car, any relationship with your children, your spouse, your other people. Like literally, I have friendships now that I wrote on a board, like what kind of people I want to be friends with. And I'm friends with these people now. Like these are my friends that I hang out with. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know
Yes.
their names. I just knew their
Yes.
qualities. I knew what kind of qualities they would have. And then I quit hanging out with people who don't have those qualities, right? And I said, I'm
Yes.
going to just be by myself for a while. And then I'm going to manifest. These are the kind of people I want to be friends with, right? And so,
I think I'm going to take this a step further. This
mhm.
friends and transitioning from W-2 to owning a business, whether it's a real estate investing business or maybe you're in real estate adjacent, or even if you're not. Friends is a big, huge deal when you're investing because if you only have W-2 friends, they will never understand what you're building ever. And again, I like to think that I'm pretty smart and I'm pretty savvy. My husband had built a business. He started it in 2002, sold it in 2022. We've lived through all the things. And again, I was the number two person at a national organization here locally in Dallas. And I was in boardrooms. I was, an executive. I literally had a corner office and my assistant sat outside my office. Okay. So when I say like I've been the leader of a company, I get it. Until you build a business, you will never get it. A couple of years into building my first company, I actually apologized to my husband. He came home one day and I was working from home and I said, I'm so sorry because I thought I understood, but I didn't. And so when we talk about friendships and you're moving from your W-2 into this full time, or maybe this will just be your side gig and your side hustle, you need to have friends who also are building businesses because the roller coaster that you will get on being an entrepreneur is unlike anything. It's, you know, sometimes I laugh because I'm like, man, I like thought I was working hard when I had a W-2. No, I wasn't. They were paying me regardless, right? I went on vacation, they still paid me. I showed up and gave 110%, they paid me. I showed up and gave 60%, they still paid me. It's very different when you're doing your own thing. And when you have partners, I mean, it's just different. And so expanding your circle to have, especially those of us who are women, I think having other women who get it. It's one of the reasons why I started Trailblazers, because I was like, oh my gosh, I need other women friends who get it, because it can be really lonely without, like you said, sometimes you just want to pick up the phone and text your girlfriend and saying, oh my gosh, I'm having a horrible day, or I lost a deal, or I partner with the wrong person, or what have you. Like, sometimes you just need another human on the planet who understands that. And your W-2 friends, while lovely and amazing and wonderful, don't always get it.
Yeah, yesterday I have a friend that is like this incredible woman I met at a real estate seminar a long time ago, and she came up to me because I got up and spoke. Anyway, it doesn't matter how we met, but she's left real estate, but she has a book, she does all this other stuff, but she speaks. But someone asked her to come speak. There's a situation, I won't go into all the details, but she's second guessing a decision that she made, and she mapped it all out. And I said a little prayer, and I meditated on it, and then I did a few other little things, but I came back and I felt like I said, one, you need to listen to your inner guide and your intuition. And if you're asking me if you should even do this, I think you already have maybe the idea that you maybe shouldn't. But I said also, because it's costing her a lot of money, this thing, and she doesn't think she's going to get the money back from it. And I said, I would really think about investing that same amount of money and time into something different that I learned from somebody else, that I'm like YouTube, which is what I'm doing right now. I said, YouTube's evergreen. And like when my son had cancer, I made a video every night when I got from home from the hospital on Facebook and on about mindset. I'm going to go back and try and find those, because now when people reach out to me and someone has their kid has cancer, I can talk to them, but I wish I had those videos to send them. I wish I could have my kid has cancer or my loved one has cancer playlist, and I can answer all their questions on there. So it's evergreen. So even if I can't find them, I hope I can find them because they're authentic to the time. But I'm going to make a new playlist. I wrote this down because it's evergreen, right? And so I told her, if it was me, I would probably, you do whatever you feel called to do. But as an entrepreneur, I would not probably invest the money in, because you already know that didn't work before and you have evidence for that. But I told her I would spend the same amount of money and set up a YouTube channel and start using that as your evergreen way to get people. Anyway, but I think if you don't
You
have
should
someone to go
totally
to,
do this. You should
Mhm.
totally do this. Um, I love this idea. And I totally interrupted you. That's
No,
something
no,
I'm,
go. I want to know what you love. Tell me what you love, because I love you.
well, okay, I'm really praying I don't get emotional. Um, I have been questioning something that's happening right now in one of my businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been going back and forth. Um, and literally, while we're filming this in the afternoon, this morning, I was thinking about it and journaling about it. This afternoon, I went and took myself to lunch and I like journaled and prayed about it. And you just sharing that story with me, okay,
I have
miracle in
chills
my
right
life.
now. My hair's on end listening to you.
Well, here's the thing, Colleen. I literally asked God this morning. I said, please send me a sign that is so big that I cannot ignore it. You had no idea that I'm facing something similar. And you just shared that story and you gave advice to your friend that you didn't even know that I needed to hear today. Like today. And in fact, Colleen, like I almost thought about just saying, let's, because I'm in it right now. I'm in the messy middle right now.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
like I was like, maybe I should text her and say, like, let's move this to another day. You are dealing with your concussion. Like, you could have moved this today. But like, what just happened to me is God, universe, like whatever people want to call it. For me, it's God saying, like, there's your sign, Caytie. Like, you just asked, and Colleen just showed up with your miracle today. And so, I don't know. I don't know if we're supposed to impart any other wisdom, but I just need you to know, lady, that you just helped me out so much. I can't even. And I'm like so glad that this is on replay so I can watch it again, because my mind is truly like, I Yeah, I'm speechless right now.
Yeah, you know what to do. Your intuition's already telling you. I told
Yeah.
her, and if you're having to reach out to me, because I've known this lady a long time, like I met her, I got up. I'm going to share how I met her. Is that okay? I feel like
Yeah.
I'm
I
supposed to
love
tell you.
that.
And then I have, because I have chills, because I wasn't planning on sharing that at all. God just told me to
Yeah.
share that. So I went to Thatch Win is a big, this is before he was big. I mean, he had a lot of properties, but it was one of his first or second, thirds. I don't know. But he was doing a seminar up in Seattle where he's at. He's a big real estate. He does the Burr method. He's a wonderful human. Okay. I'm friends with him. But I ended up being friends with him through another guy that worked in my office named Kevion, that is huge in real estate here. Not just here, everywhere now. But anyway, we worked in the same office. He rented an office space from us in the beginning. It's a long story, but his mentor was this guy Thatch because his mom was the guy at Town Ferry. That was his client. She worked for Tom Ferry, and anyway, so he would post about gratitude and all this stuff. And so I was just learning because before this, my life was miserable and I hated my life and I cried all the time, which is probably hard for people to imagine. And I would complain to anyone who would listen to me. And I wanted to divorce my husband. I hated my marriage. I hated that I was what I did for a living. I hated my kids. I hated being a mom. I hated every aspect of my life, which is just mind blowing. So I'm going to share this. Okay.
Mm.
So I'm on this journey to change my life because I had a dream and God told me because I thought the solution was to divorce John. And I even met with a divorce lawyer. And oh my, is it okay if I share all this? Okay. So John's right here. Yeah. Well, it's our story. And I'm so in love with John Lowe now. Yeah. So anyway, so what happened was, wow. Okay. This is going a whole different direction, but I feel like I'm supposed to share it. Someone's supposed to hear
Yeah.
this. So I go meet with a divorce attorney, and I'm certain the solution to all my unhappiness is divorcing my husband, right?
Yeah.
And it's all his fault, everything, right? I'm sure it's all his fault. And so I have this dream, I have this dream, and then every aspect of my life is like fantastic, right? And I'm like, oh, this is what I want. This is it, right? And I'm like, but it was on that the person showing me the dream was on this horse, and it was a headless, they had a thing over their head, and I couldn't see. So I don't know. This was like, we're married 37 years now. This was a long, long time
Wow.
ago. Maybe the 25, 27 year, 30 years ago. This is a long, long, long time ago.
Yeah.
So I have this dream and I'm like, God, you need to show me who this person is. I got to meet this person, right? And so God has them take their thing off in the dream, right? And it's John Lowe. And it's John Lowe. And I'm like, that's impossible. He goes, no, Colleen, you're the problem in every part of this. You're the problem. You bring you to every aspect of this. You're the problem with your kids. You're the problem in your marriage. You're the problem in your financial, your business thing. I was a teacher at the time. I worked as a full time as a teacher, and you're the problem everywhere. You complain about everything. You look for the negative. You're just completely miserable, and you spread misery everywhere you go. And I'm like, ooh, it was a lot to take in, right? And I wasn't like that before. I just a lot of things happened that I was really a cheerful, sunshiny person, growing up and when we got married. And then we had a lot of what I call opportunities to grow, or sometimes, things happened. A lot of things happened, right? And I didn't know that opportunities to grow are good for us and make us stronger. And right back then, my perspective was everything was wrong, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what's interesting is as I started taking 100% radical responsibility for everything in my life, my whole life changed. And so I met Thatch through just listening to his videos. He would make live videos on Facebook all the time. And I had been reading books and going to some seminars. So I'm documenting it on Facebook all the time. Every day I'd make a video documenting it. And so I had just finished recording a video on gratitude and how important gratitude was, because that was the key for me, was really focusing on what I appreciate. But Thatch then made a live video. He didn't see my first video, but he made another video that said that gratitude isn't great because it's about what happened in the past. Appreciation is a higher energy level and it brings you more joy, and you should focus on appreciation instead. So then after his video, I said, oh, thanks so much. I just made a video on gratitude that I'm going to go tell all my people that I just learned this new thing, right? So I make a
Yeah.
new live video telling people, no, we got to focus on appreciation. Thatch comes on my video and I don't even know him. Okay. And he says, that's awesome, Colleen. You should come up in 3 days. I'm having a seminar up here in Seattle and you should come up here. I don't really know anyone. And so I said, can you post the link? So he posts the link, right? And I'm like scared. I don't know how to do anything. I don't have the money for it, anything. And yeah, my son had, yeah, cancer. It's a long story. But anyway, I ended up going. John bought me a ticket. And then I couldn't afford to stay in the host hotel. And so I rented a room on Airbnb from some lady that I didn't know. I didn't know who it was. John rented me a room from somebody. I didn't know how I was going to get anywhere. I didn't have any resources to make this happen. I'd never really done anything like this. But what's amazing is the lady who that rented a room to me picked me up at at the airport. And then her mom made me breakfast every day. I ended up becoming friends with her. She's still one of my dearest friends. She came to the seminar the next year with me, and Thatch had me speak on a stage the next year. And literally, I just really believe that anyone can do anything, right? Like I literally used to just be this person who would cry and moan to anybody. And then two, if we're really real with people and we just share our journey and help other people along the way, it'll make a huge difference. But what happened is that first thing I got up at the end, so I don't know anyone. It's a long story. I go to this thing. I spend 3 days with these people. They have this thing where you have to do this game online, and I don't know how to do anything technology wise at that time. And I didn't want to bug John because I didn't want him to say, I've showed you that a million times, which he probably had. And so I went up to the guy and I become really good friends with this guy. He had the app and he runs events. He showed me how to do it. So I won a spot to ride in the limo with that when we went on property visits. And what's so cute is at the end, they said, hey, you you got to get up and declare what you want in your life.
Yeah.
And at the end of the seminar, and all these people are getting up and declaring all their like Mount Everest big goals. And I'm like, yeah, who am I to do that? I mean, there's no way. Like, I just barely met these people. And, this is like 1 month or 2 months into my like shedding my old self skin.
Yeah.
God said, it's your time, Colleen, get up there. So I got up and said, my son's been an addict for 20 years or 15 years, probably at the time. I don't remember. He's an alcoholic and my son has cancer. And I want to help people get brain scans because we spend a lot of money helping our son, and most people can't afford it, and rehabs and different things. So I want to start a foundation that helps people get this stuff, right? I got up and declared, I said my son's an alcoholic, and I've learned a lot from him, right? And both sons are good. My son is drug free and alcohol free, and my other son survived a miraculously aggressive cancer. Okay, but they both taught me a lot. But I declared it when I got off the stage. This woman walks up to me in the back of the room and said, I have a daughter who has struggled with this, and it's not my short story to share, but she said, I've never heard anyone publicly declare such a thing, and I just want to be friends with you. And I'm now very good friends with her and her best friend that was there. They're from the Midwest. And when my son did have cancer, they flew out and walked on the beach with me multiple times. And anyway, I'm just saying, we're all connected and anyone can do anything. And we do this friendship you're talking about. I didn't mean to like take over your whole thing, but this
You're
friendship,
totally fine. I'm like with you 100%, lady,
yeah.
because I love that there are these invisible strings that we can't see that tie things together.
Yeah, like I met you and I knew when I went
Yeah.
to the first squad up and I was like, oh, I have one person I need to find while I'm here. And every person I'm like, have you seen Caytie Langford? Have you seen Caytie Langford? I asked every person at the night before thing because someone said they'd seen you. And I'm like, well, where is she? Oh, she was over there. And I'm like, I'm going to find this woman because I just knew these invisible little strings, right? They're there. If we follow that miracles are more normal and everything's working out for me, even when you think it's not working out, and we start moving in that direction, and you start. I really believe we can't outperform our self identity, and so when you can increase the capacity of what you think is possible for you, and then start stepping into that, and then you start
Yeah.
making these connections and seeing how you can serve other people. I think it's huge. In fact, I want to
No,
ask you this
absolutely.
question, but I want to hear what you have to
Yeah.
say. What are your thoughts while you say
Well,
that?
I think that that also like ties into this again, stepping into being a real estate investor. Um, Before my husband and I have been real estate investors since 2010. And we thought the way to do it was we paid cash for rental houses, for long-term rentals. We didn't know this whole vast world was out there until we started getting in rooms and people were like, oh, yeah, we own this and we own that and we own this. And it wasn't what we thought of. Like, we had never heard of sub two. We didn't know we could buy properties on sub two. We didn't know we could own condos. We didn't know we could have short-term and mid-term rentals. And now we have all of that. Like we literally, in less than 2 years, have gone from having two long-term rentals to a portfolio of 15, which in some people, the 15 was not a lot. But for us, that was like, whoa.
It's huge. It
We
totally
didn't
changes your life.
Oh, and we're now looking at syndications, we're looking at multifamily projects, storage projects, everything is different now. And yeah, so you got to also get in rooms with people who are doing other things than you. Just so because that you're totally right. Like you're never going to outperform what your limiting beliefs are, ever. You're just
Mhm.
not. And what's crazy is when you're climbing and you're going to the next level, you're gonna hit another limiting belief. Like I kept thinking, surely I've been through plenty of therapy, plenty of coaching. I've attacked them all. Nope, nope. This morning a new one hit me smack in the face, and I was like, oh gosh, okay. Another layer that I've gotta, break down and understand and move through. So yeah,
And unpack, right?
there you go, unpack.
And in fact, is that a question I love to ask people is how do you approach a setback with a sunshiny mindset?
Yeah. So I think that when I'm going through the setback, what I have not figured out how to do is see in the moment that the setback will set me up for something.
Mhm.
I tend to still wallow a little bit. I would say I do it in less time than I used to, but when I'm in it, I'm in it. And I'm feeling it and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened." Um, but I try and quickly move through that to say, what is the lesson I was supposed to learn here? What is this supposed to teach me? Whether it's listening to my gut and my intuition, um, that is a lesson that I've had to learn many times because I don't.
Mhm.
I
Up
realize
until
that,
now, up until now.
oh, see, more nuggets that you just drop on me that I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, up until now. Up until now, it's been hard for me because um I so in the strengths finders and Clifton strengths finders, I'm a woo. And I've been studying myself for 15 years. And I've taken all the assessments, and in fact, I'm like certified in some assessments, the whole thing. But so woo is I like to win others over. Well, the tragedy of winning others over is it means I also hate to let people down.
Mhm.
And so if I grow and expand and either change my mind or decide to go in a different direction or just outgrow things, I feel terrible telling people. And so then I get stuck in like analysis paralysis and I don't listen to my gut, or I haven't up until now.
Up
And
until now.
up until now. But what's crazy about it is the further I get away from it, almost every situation that has been a really gut-wrenching lesson that I've had to learn, it's because I ignore my gut. It's
Yeah.
because I've been ignoring my intuition and I rationalize things with my mind instead of literally feeling the pain that I feel in my stomach. Because I get physical sensations in my stomach. And and so that's one of the things that I'm learning is how do I stop having to learn that same, but if it's not that, I'm sure there's another lesson that I'm going to need to learn.
Well,
But I think always taking the opportunity and saying, okay, what can I learn from that? And also, one of the things that I've done in the last couple of years is I've had to learn where my responsibility has been, which I think ties into your story, this radical responsibility. Because I'm real good at blaming the other half, the other
oh yeah.
party, like, oh, it was her fault it didn't work out, or it was, no, I owned a piece of it. Now, maybe together we weren't phenomenal, but I owned a piece of it. And so I think that that's one way. And then the last thing that I would say about that is I just believe that I have been given a vision of where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to do, it doesn't mean it's like crystal clear, right? One of my visions is speaking in front of 10,000 people. I have zero idea how that's going to happen, but I believe it's going to happen. So I prepare. I'm constantly working on my speech, how I'm doing, accepting new opportunities to speak. 2 years ago, I wasn't in real estate investing like this. I never would. If you would have told me 2 years ago, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. So there's a sense of knowing what the vision is and where I think that I'm going, but also not holding on so tight to how it's going to happen. I had a
Yeah.
mentor back in the day who said you have to suspend the belief that you're going to know how it's going to happen, but hold the vision of what you want to happen. And that's really, that's my way of getting back up on after I fall off my bike. I get it. I'm like, well, you know what? That wasn't it, but I have this crazy positive knowing. I just have a knowing that it's going to get better.
And it is.
Yeah, every day I believe that. And
Mhm.
and even settling into that. Like, I just use the word crazy. Like, it's not crazy.
It's not crazy. It's on its way. It's in the
Yeah.
vortex in your escrow account and it's on its way.
Yes, sister. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's coming.
Join us for part 2. Join us for part 2